Just when we thought we'd come to terms with the Delta variant of COVID-19, along comes Omicron, and the timing couldn't be worse. The Omicron COVID-19 variant was first reported in South Africa on 24 November 2021. It's quickly spreading across the world. The World Health Organization (WHO) declared Omicron to be a COVID-19 variant of concern based on preliminary evidence that it spreads quickly. COVID-19 cases are reaching record highs in parts of the UK as the highly transmissible Omicron variant continues to spread across the country. In this video, we're going to discuss Omicron and the effects on your body. The video is going to be amazing, so make sure you stick to the end. Before starting the video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to never miss out on any of our videos. Omicron, which is believed to be more transmissible than the previous variant, is likely to infect a large population in less time. The Omicron variant has spread rapidly across the US, becoming the dominant strain of the virus less than 3 weeks after it was first reported in the country on December 1st. The symptoms of this variant are milder as compared to the Delta variant, but as per experts, due to the high rate of transmissibility, it can soon become the dominant variant across the globe. Researchers worldwide are racing to understand the threat that the variant, now confirmed in more than 20 countries, poses to the world. Yet, it might take scientists weeks to paint a more complete picture of Omicron and to gain an understanding of its transmissibility and severity, as well as its potential to evade vaccines and cause reinfections. Wherever I go, everyone says, "Tell us more about Omicron," says Senjuti Saha, a molecular microbiologist and director of the Child Health Research Foundation in Dhaka, Bangladesh. There's so little understanding of what's going on, and that's true even for scientists. Even though the world still needs answers to some crucial questions, Tedros said people everywhere aren't defenseless against Omicron or Delta. The steps countries take today and in the coming days and weeks will determine how Omicron unfolds. If countries wait until their hospitals start to fill up, it's too late. Don't wait, act now, he said. Most PCR and rapid antigen tests can detect Omicron. The Food and Drug Administration has noted that there are only a few tests that don't, but results don't indicate to the user which variant they're infected with, leaving people to guess. Some symptom differences have emerged from preliminary data, but experts aren't certain that they're meaningful. Data released last week from South Africa's largest private health insurer, for instance, suggests that South Africans with Omicron often develop a scratchy or sore throat, along with nasal congestion, a dry cough, and muscle pain, especially low back pain. If Omicron continues to show signs of being milder than Delta, that's good news, of course. But if it also turns out to spread more quickly than Delta, that could be great news. When two variants are circulating, the one that infects more people more quickly will tend to dominate, said Samuel Scarpino of the Rockefeller Foundation's Pandemic Prevention Institute. That variant could win out either because it replicates more quickly in its human hosts and spreads more efficiently between them, that is, it's more transmissible, or because it more deftly evades the immunity we already have. Delta and Omicron both are mutant variants of the original strain of the COVID-19, which originated in China in 2019. Delta was first identified in India in 2020, and later it led to the second wave of the coronavirus in the country, claiming millions of lives, while cases of Omicron variant were first reported from South Africa. The symptoms of both variants are different from each other. Experts reveal that fatigue, joint pain, cold, and headaches are 4 common signs of Omicron that are different from that of the Delta variant. Apart from these, loss of smell and taste, which were common signs of Delta, was hardly seen in the case of the Omicron. Preliminary indications seem to suggest increased transmissibility but less severe illness compared to the Delta variant, says Charles Bailey, MD, Medical Director for Infection Prevention at Providence Mission Hospital and Providence St. Joseph Hospital in Orange County, California. Dr. Bailey adds that there's no clear signal that COVID-19 vaccines and preventative and therapeutic agents will lack efficacy against the Omicron variant. The Delta variant, which swept through the U.S. earlier this year, took more than 3 months to become the most common strain. The U.S. is reporting an average of nearly 188,000 new cases each day, roughly 75% of the all-time high in January. Millions of Americans in cities like New York and Los Angeles have faced long testing lines and a scarcity of at-home tests amid the surge. President Joe Biden on Tuesday announced a suite of actions to combat Omicron, including the distribution of 500 million at-home tests to Americans starting in January. This is reassuring news at this point, and there's no reason to be more concerned about Omicron than previous COVID-19 variants. It's too early to justify a high level of concern given the availability of effective inpatient and now outpatient therapeutic agents, plus preliminary indications that vaccinations and monoclonal antibodies should remain protective, says Dr. Bailey. Australia is one of the most vaccinated countries in the world against COVID-19. There's no evidence to date that the vaccines Australians have been given are any less effective at preventing severe illness, hospitalization, or death from Omicron. Omicron's rapid rise in South Africa is what worries researchers most because it suggests the variant could spark explosive increase in COVID-19 cases elsewhere. On 1st December, South Africa recorded 8,561 cases, up from the 3,402 reported on 26 November and several hundred per day in mid-November, with much of the growth occurring in Gauteng province, home to Johannesburg. Epidemiologists measure an epidemic's growth using R, the average number of new cases spawned by each infection. In late November, South Africa's National Institute for Communicable Diseases, NICD, in Johannesburg, determined that R was above 2 in Gauteng. That level of growth was last observed in the early days of the pandemic. Richard Lessels, an infectious disease physician at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in Durban, South Africa, told a press briefing last week. Gauteng's R value was well below 1 in September when Delta was the predominant variant and cases were falling, suggesting that Omicron has the potential to spread much faster and infect vastly more people than Delta, says Tom Wenseliers, an evolutionary biologist at the Catholic University of Leuven in Belgium. Based on the rise in COVID-19 cases and on sequencing data, Wenseliers estimates that Omicron can infect 3 to 6 times as many people as Delta over the same time period. That's a huge advantage for the virus, but not for us, he adds. Indeed, many COVID-19 symptoms vary depending on a person's vaccine status. Maya and Clark Kutaya, an assistant professor at the New York University Mayor's College of Nursing, who has been following up with COVID-19 patients throughout the pandemic, said that vaccinated patients with Delta or the original coronavirus tends to present with headache, congestion, sinus pressure, and sinus pain, while unvaccinated patients are more likely to have shortness of breath and cough, along with flu-like symptoms. With Omicron, Clark Kutaya said patients she has talked to in Pennsylvania are presenting with symptoms similar to those of Delta. Vaccinated Omicron patients complain of headaches, body aches, and fever like a really bad cold, she said. Unvaccinated people have the same shortness of breath, cough, and flu-like symptoms she saw among unvaccinated people with Delta and the original coronavirus. Even people who are fully vaccinated or not at risk for serious illness from COVID-19 may feel anxious about Omicron because so much remains unknown about this variant. This uncertainty can make individuals feel helpless, hypervigilant, and anxious, says Dr. Magavi. Change itself can stimulate the amygdala, the fear center of the brain, and trigger surges of anxiety. And when the change involves potentially exposing oneself and one's loved ones to COVID-19, the consequences could include insomnia, panic attacks, depression, impaired cognition, and worsening functionality, she adds. COVID-19 has in many ways made our world seem unsafe, adds Dr. Foreman. The things we knew, took for granted, or counted on for comfort are no longer reliably there, she says. Losing them leaves many of us feeling vulnerable and exposed. Experts believe that the Omicron variant can surpass the immunity provided by natural infection and vaccinations. The risk of breakthrough infection is higher in both cases. But still now, nothing can be said without utmost surety. Let us know your opinion in the comment section below. This was all for today. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay safe, and we'll be back soon with another video just for you guys. Until then, take care and be happy.